Hello. Welcome to the 16th part of the necromancer's evolutionary traits. Thank you very much. Let's begin. Piet says, this year's festival. You know it's very important, right? He says, yes, Master Piet. We've prepared everything thoroughly. Piet says, from the numbers of guards and of Kraus to our entry points. We've also learned about all the underground chambers beneath the arena here. We may be able to make many sacrifices to summon Lord Zepar. Great job. If everything goes well, I'll be sure to introduce you to some nice girls. Or perhaps, me? Piet says, it's okay.
Infine.
All I did was borrow the help of our brothers and sisters at the academy. What precious children they are. They know very well what a worthy faith is. Say, that reminds me, didn't you say there was a potential candidate? Have you been successful in recruiting here? It must be about Vivienne. Piet says, I spoke to her directly, but she didn't seem particularly interested. She said she has found her spiritual foundation. He says, is that so? Well, that's a pity, but it can't be helped. Anyway, I hope you'll do well without me. Since I have very important things to do, I won't be able to join you. After that, we see a system window appears in front of Andrea's. It says, Traits, Dual Core Unique, Evolution Unique, Enlightenment Epic, Original Sin. Talents, Black Magic Necromancy Extraordinary, Elemental Magic, Water Element Poor, Potion Making, Buffing Type Extraordinary, Physical Exceptional, Combat Exceptional. A week after I returned from the Cromwell Mansion, I was worried that the original sin I absorbed might cause problems. Fortunately, nothing has happened so far. Now that I know Cromwell's secret, I'm even more worried about Amy. If it weren't for what's about to happen at the Academy, I could have stayed by Amy's side. On the last day of the Academy's festival, at the arena, the Zepar cult will carry out the terrorist attack. Who knows how many people will be killed in their ridiculous attempts to summon an evil god. I have to get rid of them before they get anyone else involved. I need to protect the playable characters if I want to clear this game. And I don't expect much, but it is possible that the Zepar cult has other codexes with them, so I'll look into that as well. There's so many things to do since I got the original sin. Alright, let's resume our training, Nickel. System says, Codex Apocalypse, Chapter 0 The purest original sin has detected diligent sloth. Andreas thinks, what? System says, Codex Apocalypse, Chapter 0 The purest original sin has been linked to diligent sloth. Generating additional features. Generating additional abilities. Enhancing base capabilities. He says, the sloth? System says, Codex Apocalypse, Chapter 0 The purest original sin is starting to grow. Andreas thinks, what is this sensation? The original sin seems to recognize Nickel as the sloth. Is it because he carried it for a prolonged time? System says, Codex Apocalypse, Chapter 0 The purest original sin has finished growing. Codex Apocalypse and Diligent Sloth are no longer linked. Sloth Phantom Legendary. Sharing the effects of Diligent Sloth. Nickel Lifehill Undead, Tier 5. Mana 2113 Traits Self-Awareness, Mastery. Codex Apocalypse. Mana Recovery increased by 188% Sloth. Mana Sensitivity increased by 66%, Sloth. Once every 6 days, a special skill can be used. Currently stored skills, Sloth. He says his appearance didn't really change, but his specs have definitely gone up. Andreas says, so, Nickel, to celebrate your power-up, how about counseling today's training session? Nickel shakes head no. After that we see Andreas walking in a market. He says, I remember there should be some cultists here looking for new members. Is it because it was so long ago that I am misremembering? Why don't I see any familiar faces? He sees Hazar and thinks, if that guy who went on the mission reappeared before the terrorist attack, that means, good. Let's follow him. He follows him to an underground facility. Someone see Andreas. Andreas attack. Andreas knocks them out. He thinks, as I thought, Hazar and the rest of the cult are preparing a terrorist attack. Andreas brings out Nickel and Timer and says, Nickel, you're with me. Timer, you stay here and watch. He says, let's get moving. Hazar get to the base he thinks. Bringing in the explosives was a challenge, but setting them up should take no more than a day. Looks like there won't be any problems for tomorrow's ceremony. Hopefully, they'll promote me to a higher rank for my efforts. Someone's head goes flying. They scream and say, "We're under attack." Hazar says, "A spy. Kill him." They attack Andreas. Andreas kills them. Hazar says, "What useless bunches. It's only one man?" Andreas think, "Phew. His swordsmanship is impressive as always. All right, I think we're almost done. Luthiers collect all the explosives. Let's call Timer back." Someone throws Timer. Timer falls in the water. He says, My, just when I thought I'd drop by since I finished my business early. My boy, Hazar." Andreas thinks, when did he? He is really angry and says, "Was it you? That one who killed this child?" Andreas thinks, "No way." He says, "I hope you know what you're getting yourself into." Andreas thinks Piet Koban. Piet says, "You went too far, little boy." Andreas thinks, one of the cult's top leaders who appears mid-game and has the strength comparable to an aura master. This is going to sting a little, so buckle up. Andreas thinks, he's bad news. His strength at this point in time is probably greater than Ivy's. Will Nickel and Timer be able to defeat him with their low evolution stages? Moreover, they're a bad match for him. Piet's skills, which increase muscle and physical strength, make blunt blows and slashes ineffective. What should I do? Piet becomes a black monster. He says, "I don't know who you are, but you seem pretty strong, so I'm going to go all out." Andreas thinks, here he comes. Timer comes in front of Andreas ready to fight Piet. They both start to fight. Nickel also gets ready to fight. Nickel uses his sword to attack, but it doesn't work. Andreas also attacks him. It also doesn't work. He says, "Oh my? Why don't you?" Piet head, but Timer is really hard. Piet kicks him and says, "Go over there for a moment." Piet jumps toward Andreas. Andreas gets ready to write. Nickel blocks the attack. Andreas sees an opening and says, "Now." Andreas hits him in the back of his neck. Piet is unharmed and attacks Andreas. Andreas uses an earth shield. Piet smiles and destroys the earth shield. Piet grabs his head and starts to punch him. Andreas' mask gets down. Piet says, "Oh my God. He's super my type." Timer and Nickel attack him together. Piet easily blocks their attacks and hugs Andreas really hard. Andreas starts to scream. Piet starts to laugh and says, "What lovely sounds you make." Andreas thinks, am I going to die here? There's got to be a way. System says, the purest original sin has responded to the host's call. Do you want to use the special skill sloth? Andreas thinks, sloth. I don't know what the risks are yet, but I have no other choice. I'm using the sloth. Everything starts to tremble. Piet says, what's that sound? Piet feels something and thinks, what is this ominous presence? Piet jumps back for the distance. Andreas releases a really strong aura. System says, magic power potency 666%.
Mana sensing capability 666%.
Magic sensing capability 666%. Mana recovery strength 666%. Temporarily applying talent magic genius. Temporarily nullifies all mental magic. Entering the state of transcendental emotion sloth.
Duration 66 secondes.
Andreas thinks. Thinking is annoying. And moving is a pain too. Too late to open my eyes. He uses Earth Shield. He thinks, and breading is a drag. Andreas cuts Piet's one arm in an instant. Piet gets scared and says, what the hell are you? He thinks, even keeping my heart beating. Timer and Nickel are also surprised. He thinks, bothersome. A really big explosion happens. He hits him with a bunch of attack. Piet says, is that all? Andreas says, how bothersome. Piet says, what did you just? Andreas says, I need to kill him fast. And rest. Piet feel really strong energy. Also the Tower Master also feels really strong energy from far away. The 16th part of the Necromancer's evolutionary traits ends here. If you want to see more, please subscribe and like. And if you want to support me financially, you can join my channel membership or Patreon only for $1. Patreon and Discord links are in the description if you want to support me. And a special thanks to all my Patreons for supporting me. Thanks for watching.